Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly, like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second. We break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino, and apparently I've become the human version of a Red Sox winning streak. The minute I finally start believing, somebody shows up wearing an athletics uniform and kicks me directly in the nuts. 3 weeks ago, I was watching this team like a guy inspecting a used car, kicking the tires, checking underneath, and asking, all right, where the hell is the major structural damage? And now I'm checking playoff standings like Rain Man. 64 and 53. Definitely a wild card. Definitely a wild card. Definitely October. Definitely going to hurt me again. And speaking of people emotionally capable of handling baseball, joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick is the only guy I know who can watch the Red Sox win 9 straight games and somehow come away more aggravated than when we lose. Most fans see a winning streak and think this is fun. Nick sees a winning streak and thinks, all right, which one of you idiots still doesn't understand why I was right 3 weeks ago? The man doesn't celebrate wins, he collects receipts. And if the Red Sox should somehow win the World Series, Nick's first move isn't popping champagne, it's opening X and scrolling back to a post from June and replying, just checking in on this one. And somewhere in the Bronx, a Yankees fan is already blocking him before the parade even starts. Also joining me tonight is John Martinello. John has spent the entire Red Sox run looking through rose-colored glasses so hardly, I'm pretty sure he's permanently damaged his retinas. The Red Sox win 9 straight. John says, see, I told you. They lose two straight to the A's. John says, good teams need adversity. Jesus Christ. If the Titanic sank today, you'd be standing on the stern going, well, at least parking won't be an issue in New York. And finally, joining me tonight is Thayer Doyle, our educator, our fundamentals guy, our voice of reason, which means Thayer watched today's game and probably had to excuse himself from the family for 20 minutes so he could quietly scream into a Red Sox beach towel, because nothing drives a teacher crazier than watching professionals forget fundamentals. Guys, we're going to review this again, Chapter 7, How to Beat a Team that's 47 and 41. Let's get into it. Your Boston Red Sox are now 64 and 53. 7 games behind the first-place Tampa Bay Rays in the American League East. And despite this weekend ending with everybody wanting to throw the remote through the television, Boston went 5-2 since our last show. Tuesday, Red Sox 14, White Sox 2. 14 runs, 4 home runs, just an absolute mugging. Chicago showed up at Fenway like they were scheduled to play baseball and accidentally walked into a Waffle House parking lot fight. Wednesday, Red Sox 4, White Sox nothing. Sonny Gray picked up his American League leading 14th win. Boston won its 7th straight, and at that point, they were 25-3 since July 3rd and 30-5 since June 25th. And then Thursday happened. White Sox 11, Red Sox 12, 13 innings. Boston trailed in the 9th. Boston trailed in the 10th. Boston trailed in the 11th. Boston trailed in the 12th, and Boston won. Caleb Durbin finally ended the hostage situation with a walk-off RBI single in the 13th. That wasn't baseball. That was 6-hour medical stress test sponsored by Mass General. Every inning, Trad Tracy walked into the clubhouse and said, anybody still have an arm? Some clubhouse attendant raised his hand, and Trad Tracy said, great, start to stretch. Then Friday night, Payton freaking Tolle. Red Sox 13, Athletics 1, 6 innings, 2 hits, 0 walks, 14 strikeouts, 84 pitches. He struck out the side 3 separate times. 14 strikeouts were the most by a Red Sox pitcher since Chris Sale had 17 in 2019, and the most by a Boston pitcher under the age of 23 since Roger Clemens punched out 20 in 1986. And Jake Rogers compared what he saw to catching Tarek Skubal. Easy there. We all love Tolle, but Red Sox fans hear Roger Clemens and Tarek Skubal in the same 48 hours, and we're already designing his Cooperstown plaque. The kid was pumping 99, dropping breaking balls on people's knees, and Fenway was chanting, Tolle, Tolle, Tolle. Payton Tolle sounds less like a pitcher now and more like a threat. You don't pay me by Friday, we're sending Payton Tolle. And we were looking at a legitimate frontline postseason starter already. Well, after Friday's win, Boston was 27-3 over a 30-game stretch. Let me repeat that, 27-3. Major League Baseball noted they became only the 10th team since 1900 to go at least 27-3 over a 30-game span. This team was 37-48. They looked dead, not baseball dead, like CSI had already put the numbers next to the body dead. And suddenly, Chad Tracy shook the corpse and said, "Get up, you assholes. We have a wild card to win." And naturally, the Athletics came along Saturday and Sunday to remind us that we're Red Sox fans and happiness needs to be carefully rationed. Saturday, A's 7, Red Sox 3, 9-game winning streak over. Gauge jump. Apparently, Boston's personal Cy Young beat them again. Jake Bennett finally looked human, giving up 4 runs in 5 1/3 after allowing 3 or few in 9 consecutive starts. And today, Athletics 4, Red Sox 3, series over. 9 consecutive series wins are over. Against Oakland, of course. We sweep the Dodgers. We sweep Chicago. We survived a 13-inning bar fight. Payton Tolle turned into Randy Johnson. And then Oakland strolls in like, nice little season you got there. Be a shame if something happened to it. And today's loss especially pissed me off. Boston had a 3-2 lead with 4 outs remaining. Garrett Whitlock gives up the tying double to Joanna Heim. And then Chapman gets within 1 of escaping the 9th, and Max Muncy bangs the go-ahead double off the monster. Your 2 best bullpen arms, Whitlock and Chapman, both get hit, same game. It's as if Batman and Superman slipping on the same banana peel. Meanwhile, Brian Bayo gave them 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, and 4 strikeouts out of the bullpen. The bullpen game worked until the bullpen stopped working. My question to the listeners is this. Is this the annoying bump in the road, or are you concerned about how heavily this club is leaning on Whitlock and Chapman? Oh, by the way, Adley is coming. Now, here's the big one. Adley Rutschman played 2 rehab games for Worcester this weekend, doubled and threw out a runner in his first one, and he's traveling with the Red Sox to Toronto. Christopher Smith reported there won't be a roster move on Monday. Adley is expected to have a workout day at Rogers Center, putting his Red Sox debut on the doorstep during this road trip. So here we go. I criticized the trade. I still think they paid a lot. I still want to know which Adley Rutschman we're getting. But guess what? The trade is over. He's ours. Now go hit. Because if this guy comes in, catches the pitching staff, gets on base, finds some power again, and becomes that guy, I'll happily sit here and eat the take. I'll put ketchup on it. Garrett Crochet and Roman Anthony. Meanwhile, Garrett Crochet has finally begun throwing again, and Roman Anthony has progressed to batting practice. Boston is openly considering a scenario where Crochet could return as a reliever if that gets him back faster. Chad Tracy basically said they'd be foolish not to consider it. Imagine that in October. 7th inning is Crochet, 8th is Whitlock, 9th is Chapman. That's not a bullpen. That's 3 guys waiting behind a liquor store at midnight. But I'm torn. Crochet is your ace. If he's healthy enough to start, I do want him starting. Next on the bump, Casas again. Tristan Casas underwent arthroscopic surgery on his left wrist Thursday and is likely done for the season. Likely? I mean, what else is there to say? At some point, Tristan Casas needs to walk past a black cat, underneath a ladder, smash a mirror, and get the whole goddamn thing over with. The man has spent more time on medical imaging equipment than some radiologists. This was supposed to be the year again, and now we're talking about next year again. The craziest part? Here's what I keep coming back to. Boston lost the series today. It sucked. But perspective matters. They were 37-48. They're 64-53. That's a 27 wins in 32 games. They just won 9 straight series before the weekend. They had Payton Tolle looking like someone created a pitcher in a laboratory. Rutschman's coming. Anthony's progressing, and Crochet is throwing. And they're sitting in a playoff position with 45 games left. So maybe this Athletics series isn't the beginning of the collapse. Maybe it's just baseball saying, hey, Boston, you've had way too much fun lately. Eat this shit sandwich, and we'll see you in Toronto. And that's where we go tomorrow. Good old Toronto. And then Pittsburgh. 45 games remain, folks. And the Yankees are only 1.5 games ahead of Boston, while Tampa Bay remains 7 games up in the division. I don't know about you guys, but I'm suddenly care about every goddamn pitch, which is incredible considering 6 weeks ago I thought I would have traded half the roster for a Chili's gift card. That's it. I'm done. It's time for the word of the day.
And now it's time for Nick Faces Word of the day!
Annoyance. Much like you, Jim, I'm also annoyed. I don't know how you can win a baseball game Friday night 13-1 and then piss away the rest of the weekend. I truly don't, after the streak that you've been on. You could chalk it up to bad luck. You could chalk it up to that's baseball. But I think what we saw Saturday and Sunday here was a revert back to bad, stupid, dumb Red Sox baseball. I think that's what we have to take a look at here. You could even go back to Thursday, guys. We were so fortunate to be able to win that marathon game on Thursday, because if you hadn't, you would have lost 3 out of 4 to close out that homestand. I don't think you brought that point up, Jim, but I think it's a very valid point. You got very lucky. You did, because the White Sox were a gritty team that put on a battle against the Red Sox on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at Fenway Park, without question. One of my key things that I'm annoyed with is I thought we saw really good baseball Tuesday, Wednesday. You could even say the same on Friday. Very good. Thursday, I saw a big pile of slop, almost like it was a getaway Alex Cora game, meaning, oh, we're not going to do the little things right. We're not going to bunt over a guy like we've been doing to be winning baseball. We're not going to look as sharp with mental miscues on the base, getting thrown out, errors galore getting made. But the Red Sox found the ability to fight back. I believe it was 6 lead changes from the game on Thursday night. And they were able to pull it together, because you could have been on the hook for another bad outing from Chapman. You could have got a loss from Whitlock. You could have gotten a loss by Slayton, who threw the ball away from Thursday night. And just not a very sharp performance whatsoever from Ranger Suárez. I'm at the point of being annoyed and concerned on Ranger Suárez, because if you're going anywhere, you need Ranger Suárez, because at least he has that track record of being a good performer when the playoffs happen. You need to get him right. I don't know what his issue is. I don't know why we're having so many, oh, well, he can't throw long, or he's nibbling and he can't find his spot. Maybe you could chalk that game up on Thursday night with catching, because Connor Wong was his catcher. It was traditionally Narvaez who was the catcher with Suárez. So maybe those two weren't on the same page of some sorts, and it was a little bit of a different style for Ranger Suárez to go out there. Well, you got to fight through adversity. Whoever's down there, who's ever putting the signals down, you got to figure out how to do it. Atop my list of annoyance is Jarren Duran. He's been my Achilles heel all season. But I think we saw some flashes where he was getting back to a player that we were treading to liking again. That opposite field, using his feet, using his legs to steal bases, bunting to get hits. And then the home runs came, guys. The home runs came. And Jarren Duran thinks he's a home run hitter. Thayer, you'll probably agree 100% here with me. We got back to bad habits, and then the strikeouts, the miscues, all that regressed back to the Duran that we have seen 95% of this season. Major thing I'm annoyed with from today, and why Duran is number 1 on my list, is, guys, he's a liability at this point right now. That was a catchable ball in left field. Catchable ball. And he was out of position, didn't make the play. Not enough people are talking about it, because Garrett Whitlock should have been out of that inning unscathed. Should have been. And he wasn't, because Ding Dong has no clue what's going on in a baseball game again. So that irritated the living hell out of me, to the point I want Jahmai Jones in left field. I do. That's my guy. I want him out there. If you want to use some sort of a defensive replacement, put Eli EIO out there. Fine by me. But I can't. I can't do this. Oh, I hope Duran gets back to this. Oh, maybe he'll revert. No, we're done. Move on. It should have happened at the deadline, and yet here we are with this sack of crap still here. Number 2 on my annoyance, Willson Contreras. Because he has been, for the most part, a quality player for this team. But I am annoyed at the fact that he has had a horrible attitude this homestand. He's not feeling well. I get it. And then he gets into the lineup, and he looks like he wants to be in somewhere else outside of Fenway Park. He didn't want anything to do with playing baseball this weekend, guys. Nothing. Come at me all you want, fans. But you could tell the body language was, get me the F out of here. There was a play that happened, I think it was yesterday, where he didn't run out a ball. And it was a ground ball to third base. Fans started to boo him. I don't think it was a booable thing for fans because he has been, for the most part, like I said, a quality player. Very happy he's here. But something's going on with him. And again, I don't know if this is the demons like Jarren Duran that's in his head and he's just struggling and fighting through it and doesn't know what to do right now. But you gotta get a positive light going. I hope that they can flush it and get him back to being the anchor that he's been for the most part up in Toronto, because it was a terrible homestand for Willson Contreras between getting hit and sick and all that. You got to get him right if you're going anywhere. Guys, don't be surprised if you see an announcement tomorrow that Aroldis Chapman will be joining the IL list. Don't be surprised, because you're seeing a guy right now that I think is not right. And I am very concerned at the fact that I don't know if it's a nagging injury. I don't know if there's something else that's up. But I would say for the better part of a couple weeks, Aroldis Chapman has not been himself. You could even date it back to even the All-Star break. I don't know if it's age. I don't know if it's fatigue. I don't know if there's some mechanical thing going on. But even when the going got right for the Red Sox in that streak, we had a lot of players bailing him out. Chang with an incredible catch to end one of the games, and a couple other defensive, got out of dodge kind of scenario moments with the Aroldis Chapman. Could be a lot worse than what his numbers are right now. But today, and then even from Thursday night, you saw he was human. And we all understand he's not going to be a Aroldis Chapman like he was last season. That's not my expectation. That's not where I'm going with this. What I'm seeing here right now are signs that show location is off. He looks mentally fatigued, and it looks like a guy that needs a trip on the IL for 10 days or so. He just does. Can the Red Sox survive that with him taking a little vacation? I don't think so. I don't, because the Red Sox need all the guys they can in that bullpen, because the bullpen has what has helped that team go on the longest streaks that they've had, because they've all know their role. They've all been dependable. They've all been reliable enough where we can know their spot, know their role, and get the job done. And I don't think we're seeing that here right now. Are there any other things that I'm annoyed with? I think we saw a little bit of Wilyer Abreu. He was on my annoyance list for a little bit with the adjustment he's made hitting. I think we're kind of seeing him go back to basics here a little bit, and you're going to start to see a little bit more of a streak from him. He did not have a great game today, 0 for 2. But I think that we'll start to see a little bit more flashes of him getting things going again. I can't think of any other things that are on my annoyance list outside of please continue to do the small ball approach and move players along and get things going station by station, because that's what got your 15, your 9, all those winning streaks going. You played station situation baseball, and we need to keep that flow going and not think that we're all, these big powerlifting home run dudes, because that's just not who we are. We got to get back to basics here. That's all I got.
All right. Some great stuff from Nick tonight. Nick Face is brought to you by the Argument Amplifier. The Argument Amplifier, the world's first wearable megaphone designed specifically for baseball fans who are technically correct and absolutely need everyone within a 3-block radius to know it. Strap it around your neck, connect it to X, and every time someone posts a stupid take, it automatically screams, "That's not what the numbers say." It comes with 3 settings: calm disagreement, full debate mode, and Nick Face after a blown Red Sox lead. The Argument Amplifier, because being right quietly is for cowards. And now we're going to move on to the Martinello Minute.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
So, Nick, you brought up a ton of good points regarding Duran, Jahmai Jones, Aroldis, Chapman. One thing I want to talk about with Chapman first, just because it's fresh on the top of my mind. It's 2 starts in a row now where he's given up a run. The 12 appearances he had before then, he held opponents scoreless. But I think I agree with you on the fact that I don't think really since I think it was that Atlanta start or maybe that start back in the Bronx in early June that we've seen him kind of just dominate out there. I don't think that he's had a clean 1-2-3 inning in quite a while. So who knows? Maybe he does need a reset. But I think the bigger aspect of all of this is just that these guys are taxed right now. They're in the midst of playing 16 games in 16 days. Obviously, they're only 6 days into that, so they've got another 10 on their plate before they get another day off. But this team's they're going through just a lot right now. Obviously, we saw the last 2 days, guys that haven't been sitting have sat. Everybody needs a day off. Raymond Burgos, shout out to you, dude. He came in, pitched 3 innings on Friday after Tolle, pitched 3 innings on Saturday after Jake Bennett. Absolutely helped the bullpen kind of reset a little bit. Obviously, the bullpen today did not have his back, which is unfortunate, but he did just a flawless job in doing what he was brought up here to do. But listen, Red Sox lose back-to-back games for the first time since June 30th and July 1st. That's 39 days without losing 2 games in a row. So I think obviously none of us wanted that to ever happen again. It's a lot of fun seeing your team just win every single series. It's 9 series in a row. It could have been 10 today, of course, but not too many teams ever go 39 days without winning or without losing 2 games in a row. So it had to happen at some point. Obviously, you don't want it to be against the Athletics, who were, I think it was 12 straight series they had lost going into today. So it's unfortunate. And then again, these Athletics, I don't know what's up with them, but in the same 39-day stretch since you've lost back-to-back games, the Red Sox are 4-3 against the Athletics and 29-4 against everyone else. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense, but that's baseball. It never makes sense. You can't predict anything. But listen, this series against the Athletics, game 1, obviously, Payton Tolle, absolutely unbelievable. He goes 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run on the Soderstrom homer, no walks, 14 strikeouts, 84 pitches, which 24 whiffs on those 84 pitches. That's a 32% clip. He threw 73% strikes. I think it was around 73% first pitch strikes too, which is just an unbelievable number. But a couple stats on him. It's the lowest ratio of pitch to strikeouts in an MLB game since pitches were first tracked in 1988. On a minimum of 75 pitches. So similar performances to Tolle on Friday night. It was Max Scherzer's 20 strikeout game, Harry Wood's 20 strikeout game, and then Payton Tolle's 14 strikeout game on Friday. It was also the most strikeouts by a Red Sox pitcher since Chris Sale in 2019, and he was the first pitcher in Major League history with 14 strikeouts in under 85 pitches. And also the sixth Red Sox pitcher this century to have 14 strikeouts in a game. And the last stat that I want to throw out on Tolle, he's the youngest pitcher since Jose Fernandez in 2014 to have 14 strikeouts in a game. Little tribute to someone that I think would have been in the conversation for one of the greatest pitchers this century, if obviously he didn't pass away. But Payton Tolle's unbelievable, and I think his curveball is the key to it. Good stat from Scott White that I picked up when Payton Tolle's throwing more than 10% curveballs or less than 10% curveballs, he's got a 3.8 ERA, a 131 WHIP, and only an 8.7 K per nine. When he's throwing more than 10% curveballs, it's a 2.21 ERA, a 0.76 WHIP, and a 13.3 K per nine. And his last couple of starts, that curveball percent's really started to tick up. So I expect that number, 15, 18, maybe even 20% on any given start. But I think if Payton Tolle's curveball's working for him, he's just going to be unstoppable out there. And then obviously it doesn't hurt either when he's wearing that green jersey on a Friday night in Fenway Park. But yeah, listen, you're not gonna go out the rest of the season winning every single series. It's just not gonna happen. It's never happened before. You got to forget about it really quick. You go over to Toronto tomorrow. It's a team that for the past couple of years has had your number. Obviously, last time out, the Red Sox took 2 out of 3 from them at Fenway Park. Now you're going to their house. You're playing 4 games against them there. They need to step up. They need to flush, these last 2 days and get the bats going again. Nick talked about it. Small ball, obviously super important to what this team has become this year. It's their identity, just manufacturing runs. But I think it's you also have to remember that this team, I think going into this series, was first in Major League Baseball in home runs in the second half. So they found that power surge. That's going to be super important too. If they're just playing small ball, they're just not going to be winning games consistently. So the home runs still have to happen, but it's just as important that these guys continue to be aggressive when the guys get on base, move a guy over, play selfless baseball. And I think that if they're able to do that, the winning's going to continue. But yeah, so, and then speaking about home runs, it's just about runs being scored in general. Home run, small ball, whatever. The Red Sox need to score 4 runs in every game. If they do that, they're going to win. Going back to June 25th, they're 29-0 when they score 4 runs or more. They're 3-7 when they score 3 runs or less. It's a pretty simple formula to win. You need 4 runs in a game. It helps the pitchers, especially if you get those runs early. Thayer last show talking about scoring first. You score first, you score 4 runs. Since June 25th, it says that's a 1,000% win rate. So get that going in Toronto. Obviously, Nick pointed out that we might see Adley Rutschman on the Worcester broadcast today. They were talking about that his dad bought tickets down there, so I think we're definitely going to see him this week. The Red Sox said there aren't going to be any corresponding moves tomorrow, so it seems like Tuesday is going to be Adley Rutschman's Red Sox debut. And then obviously Roman Anthony's starting to hit off that trajectory machine. He's starting to take high velo batting practice. So, hopefully the good news continues to trend on his front. And then obviously Garrett Crochet, he's throwing up to 60 feet as was last reported. Hopefully we keep seeing him progress and not no setbacks on his front. And maybe, towards the end of September, we start seeing him in that relief role that's been kind of murmured around over the internet the last couple days.
Yeah, some good stuff from John there. Martinello Minute is brought to you by Hopomatic, the countertop appliance that takes any terrible Red Sox development and instantly turns it into something positive. Bullpen blows a lead, drop it in. Good adversity, lose a series to Oakland. Press a button, keeps them humble. Questionable trade, set it to high. You have a trust of the front office. The Hopomatic comes in 3 settings: optimistic, delusional, and full Martinello. Hopomatic, because sometimes reality just needs to be reheated. And now it's time for the third strike.
And now it's time for the third strike with Thayer.
Finally, Red Sox passion is back. Nick all pissed off that we lost 2 games in like 30 finally. This is really what sort of the Red Sox Nation is all about. And as we were watching these games the last couple of days, I've been talking with a number of people. My Aunt Sandy says I have to be gentle. So I'm going to be gentle with them. I'm not going to take a negative attitude and aspect with this. They have been playing incredibly well. What we saw the last couple of games, and we've talked a little bit about those things, is getting away from what has made them so effective. Not moving runners, not taking advantage of men in scoring position in less than 2 outs and driving them in. Nick, your point is excellent to this case. I think the series loss to the A's occurred Thursday night when they actually beat the White Sox. That game now, and this is an incredibly sort of unrealistic situation. I walked out of the Fenway that night saying, I don't know if I'm so impressed and happy with all of the outstanding clutch hitting they did, or whether I'm so frustrated and annoyed with their inability to just score runs with productive at-bats. Because they got down, they came back. They got down, they came back. They got down, they came back. But really, they probably could have put that game away with the few key fly balls instead of strikeouts. And what we're seeing is we've all been talking about how we were all so frustrated with how Cora would always give guys days off, and we never got sort of that consistent rotation going. And I know, Jim, you sort of talk a little bit about, it's a getaway day. Here comes the automatic loss because the guys aren't playing. And this weekend, we finally saw that. Not that the guys weren't playing, but they hit the wall. Baseball is a very difficult game, not only physically, emotionally, and probably that's even the worst part about it. It's that emotional and sort of mental toll that it takes on you. Ceddanne Rafaela has been playing outstanding baseball. He was an all-star. The last week or so, it looks like he's got no idea what he's doing at the plate. He's come up with a number of situations with men in scoring position in less than 2 outs. Most of the time, he's come up a couple times with men on second and no outs, and he is trying to drop and drive and knock everything over the monster when all he has to do is hit a ground ball to second base to move runners over. The same thing is going on with Duran. And Nick, you're absolutely right. When he takes that up the middle, opposite field approach, he is really a valuable player. When he starts, like you said, and we talk about it, when he starts hitting home runs, he gets pulled crazy and he starts pulling off. We saw it in those at-bats today where the left-hander was just sort of throwing the sweeper away, and he is just trying to pull everything instead of being productive with it. And I just sort of kind of wrote this in the chat a little bit. The difference between Duran and Durbin is Duran takes everything with him. I agree. That play in left field is something that he probably should have made. But I think what happens with him is he allows his offensive issues to carry out with him and defensively. Durbin, no matter how bad it got offensively, that man was outstanding at third base. He never brought it with him into the field. And I think that's the difference right now with players like Durbin and players like Sogart and players like Monasterio, who aren't sort of taking sort of their issues from one at-bat or one fielding issue into the next at-bat or next. Monasterio, defensively hasn't been the most outstanding, but he consistently brings it back to the offensive standpoint without allowing it to impact him, which is good. The other aspect that we saw these last 2 days is the defense. Now, today, they only had the one error, but again, it led to the first run of the game. When Miller threw the ball into the runner, they put second and third, and then instead of being able to get out of it, they had the ground ball that scores the run. Then it doesn't go down as an error, but Chapman had the runner picked off when we threw the ball in the left field. He doesn't get the extra base, and that runner does score. Those are the kinds of things. No matter how well this team has been playing, they are still, and this doesn't sound right, they are not good enough where they can give their opponents more than 3 outs an inning. And they are also not good enough where they can sort of hand out outs. All right. in that Thursday night game, Duran was on first base with 2 outs. You must try to steal the base. You have to. He doesn't. Then I think it was Seagulls gets a single that would have scored him from second base, but he doesn't. He goes first to second. Then, because of how emotional he is, there's a ball in the dirt that goes like 3 inches away from the catcher. He takes off for third base. He's gunned out. The inning's over. They don't have a chance to score that run, which would have ended the game. They go into the next extra inning, put some more runs on the board, and the first batter up in the next inning was Wong, and he doubles. Now, who knows if he was able to do the same thing, but still, their inability to play consistent is starting to get them. So they are not 30-5 good, but they are not. I honestly don't think they're as bad as they were those first couple months of the season. They're somewhere in between. Their pitching is outstanding. Yes, the bullpen is starting to get taxed. This is what I worried about with all of the, not only the starting pitcher, but all the work that they're doing. They aren't blowing teams away like you would expect, some of those teams to do. This 30-game winning streak was a lot of bullpen issues, or at least bullpen work that stressed them out. And that's why today is so frustrating when you see Whitlock and Chapman cost you. We have not seen that all year long, where usually when those guys come in, it's lights out. And Nick, to your point, I know we're not going to be the same, but I think if the Red Sox expect to do anything in the postseason, Chapman needs 2 weeks off.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, the bottom line here is that, when you look at everybody else getting some time off and injuries and so forth, Chapman's one of the guys that hasn't had any of that happen to him. And it wouldn't be such a bad thing. The problem is that the Red Sox put themselves in such a bad hole early on in the season that they've had to have this incredible run to be right in there with some of the best. And it doesn't afford you the opportunity because they don't have too many games in hand to be able to do that. Now, maybe towards the end of the season, if they're still up +5, +6 on a wild card spot, maybe they might try to do something like that. But right now, it's too difficult for them to try to, do any of that. But we'll see.
I disagree. I don't think the American League is not so dominant where you can't afford. And I'm going to say it this way. You can afford to go 500 for a little while. I think your starting pitching is good enough that you can go out and win 50% of your games without Chapman.
I don't, because I don't think the starting rotation is going to hold up. That's my problem. Now,
but I agree with that, but that's why you got to do it now while you still have them.
No, I think
you're going to need that bullpen later on, because come September, that starting pitching is going to be you're going to need a lot of help.
I'm going to disagree on that, because I think you got to win for today, and I don't think you don't want to take a chance on tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow right now. You've got to win the games that are in front of you and make sure that you qualify and get that win. I had this discussion when Bayo came in that 13-1 game with a couple of guys, and I said, I don't care that he was in there for 4 innings. You know what? Win now. Worry about today. These games got to be played like they are the postseason games, and there is no tomorrow. Because if you do that and you can build up a little bit of a comfort zone and a cushion, then maybe you can go ahead and go with that type of a plan. But right now, I don't want to give anybody a rest. This team's not good enough to be able to give anybody a rest. The bottom line is half this team is 4A players, and they're playing out of their ass. How long is that going to continue? I don't know. Is it going to continue for the rest of the season? Is Nick Sogard all of a sudden an everyday fielder? Is Chang an everyday fielder? Is half these guys? Is Anthony Siegler an everyday player now? Is Monasterio an everyday player now? I don't know. I certainly want them in there and not Trevor Story. I don't want those strikeouts. I don't even want Duran on this team anymore because he strikes out too many. But I just really worry that they're going to get exposed. And I don't know if this is the start of it. People are going to come back and say, well, you swept the Dodgers. Give me a break. The Dodgers didn't play anybody that was good in that series. They started with an opener. You had Yamamoto, and he actually owned you. It's just you had 2 Rafaela home runs that won you the game, and then they didn't do anything else. I mean, they had another reliever that was started that game. So they didn't face October Dodgers. they faced middle of the year Dodgers that don't give a flying F about
They
the
had their
Boston
feet
Red
up.
Sox. Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they were relaxing. They're coasting right now. So, for everybody that says that, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But that's
the other thing before you go to they missed Yoshida for a couple games because of being sick as well, and I think that was what Contreras had. Guys, Yoshida's been a guy you can count on.
Hey,
it's crazy to say it.
Could it be an illness that just gets him a couple days off? Maybe that's working too. I don't know. I mean, Duran had a day off too as well today, so who knows? But the third strike is brought to you by Fundamental O's, the breakfast cereal for baseball players who apparently forget everything they learned at age 9. Eat crunchy little O is fortified with cutoff men, situational hitting, backing up bases, and the radical concept of throwing strikes. Just add milk and Thayer will appear in your kitchen table looking disappointed at your footwork. Fundamental O's, because fundamentals are part of a balanced breakfast. I want to kind of move on to the pitching probables for our next series. Monday, tomorrow, August 10th, we've got the Toronto Blue Jays. We're heading to Toronto again, and hopefully we don't have to see George Springer at all, but he's just a Red Sox killer. 7:07 p.m. tomorrow, Sonny Gray against Thayer. Tuesday at 7:07, Patrick Sandoval against Dylan Cease. Wednesday is also 7:07, Ranger Suárez against Soriano. And Thursday's final is going to be Payton Tolle scheduled against Max Scherzer. John, I'm going to start with you. What is your predictions for this 4-game series?
I'm going to go with 3 out of 4. Sonny Gray versus James Tallien. To me, I mean, listen, Sonny Gray, if you remove Dylan Cease, who we're going to be seeing on Tuesday, he's your number 2 option for the American League Cy Young. So, he's leading. I think he's tied for first in baseball in wins. I know that's not so much of an important stat nowadays as it was, that's why Rick Porcello won a Cy Young in 2016. So 10 years ago, very important stat. Nowadays, people don't really care about it, but 14-2 on the year. He's got a 2.78 ERA. Going up against James Tallien, who, listen, his best days are behind him. It's a 5.96 ERA this year. That's Bayo territory of bad. It's a White Sox team that's been reeling pretty much for a significant amount of time now. They're 3-3 in their last 6, 4-4 in their last 8. Can't really get anything on track. So the only game that I have them losing this series is going to be that Sandoval versus Dylan Cease game. Obviously, Sandoval's kind of been giving you 4 or 5 innings. We haven't seen him stretch it out to this point yet. And then obviously the bullpen, we can't rely on them every single day. So, and then also just Dylan Cease, last time he pitched against us, he had no hit stuff. He had perfect game stuff. So he's got a number on our team right now. So that one I'll take as a loss. Then we got Ranger Suárez versus Jose Soriano. Soriano obviously was the weird addition to this Blue Jays team that sold off a lot of pieces at the deadline. He was great in April and March. Since then, not too great. He had his first start for the Blue Jays on the 7th, so 2 days ago. He went 4 2/3, 4 hits, 3 walks, 1 run, 3 strikeouts against the Phillies. Phillies obviously not playing the greatest baseball right now, so I'm not too worried about that game, especially with Ranger Suárez. I think if you have Adley Rutschman behind the plate for that game, I think he's going to be pitching a little bit better than he did with Connor Wong back there. And then it's Payton Tolle versus the corpse of Max Scherzer. Not too much to think about there. It's Payton Tolle winning that one on 5 days of rest.
Nick, what are your thoughts for the series?
I'm going to be a little different than John. I'm going with a split. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I go with Sonny Gray having a great outing tomorrow night. Dylan Cease, who to my surprise is still a Blue Jay, I don't understand that, is going to, he's up against Patrick Sandoval. We already know what happened the last time Dylan Cease faced the Red Sox. So, hey, if they get to Dylan Cease, give me some humble pie. I'll be thrilled about it. I can't tell you right now that I have faith in Ranger Suárez right now. I can't. And as much as Jose Soriano is a wild card, well, so is Ranger Suárez. So until you prove me wrong, Ranger, and go at least 6 innings of 2 runs or less of baseball, sorry, you're in my doghouse. So I don't see that one being a win. So I'm going to go with the Red Sox losing 2 in a row, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they'll bounce back on track on Thursday afternoon's game up against Schwarzer. So that's where I'm at with the series. Split. The 500 Red Sox, they're back.
Thayer, your predictions for the series?
I'm going to go with Nick. I think we're going to get a split. I think we're going to get a split because I think the bullpen is going to falter. And I think offensively, we're seeing all the right-handed pitchers, so we're going to see a lot of our left-handed lineup, which is going to mean a lot of Duran, and Duran's not in his right sort of space emotionally right now. At least his approach hasn't been that good. And I just don't necessarily know if they're going to be able to continue that sort of emotional and mental focus. So I say 2, probably they're going to split it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm looking at a split too. I think I feel confident probably in the Tolle game if Scherzer's going to start. I've got some, I feel some confidence there. I'm iffy on Suárez just like you are, Nick. Sandoval against Cease. I mean, he had a good outing his last outing, but it was shortened. And then Gray against Tyone. I think you have the advantage there. So I'm looking good at the Gray and the Tolle game. I think if they're going to pull out a third one, it's going to be that Suárez game. If he comes out and has more of a Ranger Suárez type of season, a game that he's been accustomed to all season versus the crap that he did last time. So I'm going 2, but it's possible for 3. So that's how that's looking.
It'll be another catcher. It'll be another new catcher for Ranger Suárez, which would be Adley Rutschman, if Adley Rutschman plays Wednesday too. So that's another factor that I was also considering in my breakdown as well. I wanted to make sure that point was across.
Yep, good point.
Real quick, if you
sure.
don't, do you guys think that they're going to DFA Jake Rogers come Tuesday when Rutschman's supposedly coming back?
I do. He's going to go
Does he
down
have
to
options?
No.
Does he have any options?
No.
He doesn't have options.
No,
okay.
He's he's a free agent after this year too. So DFAing him, it'd be a week period where anyone could claim him before.
We're just gonna stash another catcher in the minors, guys. It's just what Breslow loves to do. Stash away.
If he's a free agent, you've got a month and a half left. I could probably see a situation where he's DFA'd. Yeah,
he was only here for a week.
Off his foot.
That's
he's
all
going to go on the IL.
He was going to be here only for a week, and that's what they got.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
they did that
hell
with
of
an
a run,
infielder.
though.
They did that with an infielder for Colorado a couple years ago. They had him.
They
for
did
like
it with a
2
catcher 2 years ago. The Red Sox. Yeah. What was his name?
They had an infielder from Colorado like 2 or 3 years ago. He was
Trevor Story.
Yeah, I wish. It was 2 games. It was like 2 games the guy played, and he had an RBI or he scored a run. Then they DFA'd him afterwards.
I think it was a Dominican guy.
No, it wasn't.
That means anything? It wasn't.
No, that I know it wasn't. But moving on to comments. Magic is end. Not quite sure what he means by that, but that sounds good. Oh, whoop, you do the Athletic fans. You won the series against the Red Sox at home. You're still a garbage baseball team, Mr. Goat. I mean, look, we'll have to see how it goes. But, yeah, I would be concerned moving forward. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Athletics, one of the worst teams in baseball, that's not a good sign. So we'll see how that goes. Mr. Gold says it's a bad look for the Red Sox. They lost the series to trash Athletics team at home. Again, agreed, and this is – kind of like those comments that we've been hearing that the Red Sox are stealing signs. They've got cameras and everything like that. Well, I mean, it's been all over Twitter, but the bottom line is that the cameras haven't worked pretty good the first half of the year, and now they lost 2 out of 3 to the Athletics. So I guess it's
Smile. You're on candid camera.
Yeah. Kid Lucas says, hi, how you doing? Mr. Goat, again, you're talking about a garbage Athletics baseball team the Red Sox could not beat 2 days in a row. No, we get it. I mean, the bottom line is that they should have won the series.
Guy needs to take a nice little magic trophy trolley ride and get the hell out of here.
Michael Lubin says, get rid of Duran. No, he's a bum. I'm tired of him too, Michael. He's got to go.
Michael, you are my best friend.
Yep. Michael says, as long as Duran is on this, you won't win a World Series.
Let's relax. This is far from a World Series, folks. Let's
But
be
but
realistic.
he's right, though. He's right.
Holy Jesus.
He's right, though. You're not going to win a World Series with him on your team. That's no doubt. Losing to the homeless A's just feels bad. It certainly does. I
That's
keep
the
wanting to
comment
call
of the
them the Oakland A's, but, it doesn't even matter at this point. Duran checks out when he's out in field. I want Eli White.
I want
I
Jahmai
don't know.
Jones.
I'm not an Eli White fan. I don't know.
The triple that Soderstrom hit today. If Willie Abreu is in right field, that is a single, maybe a double. He's kind of didn't know what to do, half slid into the wall, ball gets by him. Willie Abreu knows how to play that. That was a tough play for him, which obviously led to the one run that Bayo gave up. I'm fine if they want to give Cedon a day off and throw Eli White in center. I'm cool with it. Throw him in left field, throw him anywhere when we're playing away. But that right field in Fenway Park is just. It's not meant for everybody, and it obviously ate him up
I could see him
today.
getting DFA'd very quickly here.
I think if Roman's coming back, yeah.
Because
I'd still like to have him for his speed. That's the one thing I would like in a postseason.
Breslow's move because he got screwed at the end of the deadline, and that's why we now have Eli White.
Billy says Jump looked excellent on Saturday. Let's give them their due. It would not shock me if Alex Cora was placed on the IL. I agree.
Aroldis Chapman.
Aroldis Chapman's placed on the IL.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody call him AC.
Yeah, I know. That's why I got confused for a minute. Anthony says, I'm looking forward to getting Rutschman, Anthony, and Story back in the lineup. That's going to be a huge boost for the offense. Not Story. No way.
You got to stop on Trevor Story. You got.
I know he's a Trevor Story guy, but that
We're
guy's
friends. We're everything. We can't. I can't. Trevor Story.
His career is over. His career is absolutely over. As Meatloaf saying, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Michael also says Durbin should win a Gold Glove this year. Yeah, he should. I mean, I think he's going to be in the running for that for sure. Anthony says they need those reinforcements. They need Anthony and they need Rutschman. I'm not going with Story. I don't want him anywhere near this team. I don't. Got to line what Rush is in. Okay, so Andrew gave us his lineup. Let's see how you guys think. Monasterio leading off. No. Rafaela batting second. Abreu third. Contreras fourth. Rutschman fifth. Durbin sixth. Duran seventh. Siegler eighth. And Osama bin Laden?
No, he misspelled. He meant to say Massa.
Okay. What do you guys think of that?
He made a correction on his lineup, too, if you look down the comments. Yoshida needs to be, in my opinion, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Duran's your 9-hitter. That's where he's allowed in my lineup. I just don't.
I wouldn't have
any situation where there's guys on base.
I actually would rather see Adley Rutschman hit third. That's my wild card right there. I would.
I like him in the 3-hole.
I'd rather drop Willie Abreu down to 5.
Yeah.
Well, I could understand why he's going with the right, left, right type of lineup, but I disagree on Monasterio leading off. I agree. I don't think he makes enough contact there. I'd actually rather have Nick Sogard lead off if that's the case.
Sogard's he works the count, and sometimes it's annoying. Like today, to start the game, it was a 3-1 count. He got a sinker right down the middle, didn't look at it, and then flew out on the 3-2 count. But he works counts. He fouls off pitches. He's a pesky at bat. He knows the zone pretty well. Like he's been. I don't know if the numbers are screaming he's great in the 1-hole, but the eye test looks like he's been doing.
Are you most comfortable with
until the 9th inning, John?
Right now,
John actually goes with the eye test. Oh my goodness! I couldn't believe it. Oh my god!
Are you most comfortable with Sogard, guys, as your leadoff guy right now? What do we?
Either that or Siegler.
Yeah.
Anthony says, be honest, guys, how much better would you feel about this team if they still had Connolly early? The trade is going to come back to bite them. I mean, right now it
wouldn't
does.
be throwing right now.
Right now it's a wash for everyone.
Yeah, it's a wash for everyone right now. I mean, it remains to be seen, but I'm not a
I didn't want to part with them, but right now it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anthony says, what are Adley Rutschman's numbers against Cease? I don't know if we have.
I think I saw 2 for 6. It seems limited.
It's 10 plate appearances, 2 for 6 with a double, but also 4 walks to 1 strikeout.
Anthony says they're not going to DFA Rogers, they'll DFA Yoshida. I don't see that happening, and it's not just the money. Yoshida makes contact. They still need guys that make contact on this team. And I'm no Yoshida fan, but at least the guy doesn't strike out. That's his claim to fame. So, and then
They're
Anthony
not
says
gonna
you got to
carry
come
three
to
catchers.
that
They're
the
just
story
not.
will be the shortstop if healthy. There's absolutely no way in this world that Trevor Story, I see him being a shortstop for this team in 2026. I don't. I mean, how
I'm
many
not
weeks?
coming to terms with it, Anthony. I am not.
Yeah, you can't do it.
You will lose and not make the playoffs if that happens. Bold statement right there. You heard it here.
I mean, if we look at the numbers, how many games they've got left?
45 games left.
45.
Okay, so you've got let's see, August 10th is tomorrow. You've got what, roughly 6 weeks? I just don't see it. I just can't see it. So Anthony says, I'm talking about down the stretch. Come on, guys, we need pitching. I mean, yeah, we do. I'm still worried about guys. I'm worried about guys like Payton Tolle for sure, if he's going to be able to hold up. We've talked about the innings load and things like that. Jake Bennett.
Well, we
really
didn't mention him.
disappointed.
You guys concerned about his start? Because I was.
I don't know. Of course, I'm concerned because that's just the pessimistic Red Sox fan in me. But he has lost twice to the Athletics, so it could just be one of those pesky things. But I think you got to see how he bounces back,
Location
right?
was the biggest. The location was the biggest
Yeah.
thing I noticed, and then velocity. As soon as the 5th or 6th inning comes, you see a significant dip.
Yeah, but on the bright side for Jake Bennett, the quality of contact was still right where it's been all year. Guys weren't hitting the ball hard off him. They found some grass. The one thing that was concerning was, again, like the strike zone, like just pounding strikes. First 3 innings, he threw 28 pitches. The next 3 innings, which was really 2 1/3 innings, he threw 60.
Yeah.
So
big difference.
yeah, just maybe the
walks
command
did he have in
faltered.
that game?
Also, Saturday was
hot.
disgusting outside. Yeah, so maybe that just hurt him
That
later.
could be it too.
But
How many
point.
walks did he have in that game, John?
it was 3 walks, which is also another just super uncharacteristic thing for him. It was only 1 walk through the first 3 innings.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank Thayer, John, and Nick for
One more
being
thing.
on with us. Okay, go ahead.
Did any of you see the Mass Live report from Sean McAdam this morning regarding the new 2-year extension from Dave O'Brien?
Not a fan.
The thing that could give you a little bit of hope if you're not an O'Brien fan is that this 2-year deal has a slight reduction in time. So I think personally this will be it. And then we will probably pass the mic off to Mike Monaco. No pun intended. I like
Not
Mike
Hogdale?
Monaco. Oh, fuck no.
No, I don't want to. No.
I
Mike
love
Monaco.
him.
Mike Monaco's
Those videos are
very
so
good.
funny.
I could listen to him for 100 games.
Monaco's
a year.
great.
Yeah, Monaco's great. So we'll see how that goes. But also, too, if you haven't signed up for a free account on RedSoxDigest.com, please go ahead and do so. And you'll get rants of the shows, the games the day after, if I can remember to write them, because I don't get much help. That's going to end it for tonight. Have a good night, everybody.